It's about turning our hearts in a way that we become sensitive again. It's about turning our hearts in a way that when we're hearing the Quran, they say that believers are those when they hear the verses of Allah being recited, وَجِلَتْ قُلُوبُهُمْ, that their hearts are trembling. Aisha radiallahu anha was told by the Prophet ﷺ when he was sick, have your father Abu Bakr lead the prayer. Aisha said, no, not my father. He says, he must lead the prayer. She says, he can't recite Surah Fatiha without crying. He'll break down in front of everyone. He was sensitive. So when the companions heard illa, they were waiting. What is this group that is not in loss? And here's something interesting. What is the general rule? Everyone is in loss. The illa is the exception. The people who are with Allah are always the exception, not the rule. We are the people of exception. We take exception. Mr. Trump, we take exception. Hillary Clinton, we take exception. Freudian. When there's power that's destroying poor people, we take exception. When people say that technology will run our lives, we take exception. When people say that older people don't matter anymore, it's the young people, we take exception. When people call it the third world, these are backward, we take exception. When people say that all Jews are going to hell because of Palestine, we take exception to that too though. We are people of exception. Illa. At least we're supposed to be people of exception. It's always the exception. And what was the exception? إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Now here is very interesting. When we said وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ, the people who are away from Allah, what did we say? That even when they're in a group, they're going to be alone, right? Insan, they're not going to feel like nas. They're going to feel like one little lonely singular insan. But you would think normally singular would go with singular, plural with plural. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses alladina, even though previously it was insan. It should be alladhi. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala uses alladina to give a deeper lesson. That when we're with Allah, the illa, the people of illa, they will never be alone. Alladina is used. Plural. So what Sheikh Faisal Matadar taught us at the Fawakir program. That even when you're alone, you're going to feel like you're in and the group. And the reason is you're never going to be alone. When the Prophet ﷺ said to Abu Bakr, what? They were in the cave, the Quraysh were coming, they saw the hooves of their horses, they looked through the cave, and Abu Bakr looked to the Prophet ﷺ. He was scared for the Prophet ﷺ. The Prophet ﷺ looked at Abu Bakr and he says, don't be afraid. What do you think of two when the third is Allah? We're not in this cave, two of us. Allah is with us. How can that person ever be scared? How can that person ever be lonely? What did Malcolm X say the day before they killed him? If they kill me, I'll be a shaheed. If they don't kill me, I'll keep speaking about them until they kill me. Is that a man who's afraid? That's a man of illa. Illa alladhina amanu. Now, if I ask you, this verse means except those who believe. Now we have to ask a difficult question. How many of us believe in Allah 100%? Raise your hand. Good, mashallah. It's not true. Now someone's going to get mad at me, but before, let me say it. It's not true. Well, it's just not true. The reason it's not true, belief in Allah 100% means that we're perfect mu'mins. And even if we are, we should think we're not. Because if you think you are, that means you're not. Umar and Abu Bakr were afraid that they were not Muslims. They thought they were munafiqs, which is lower than the kuffar in hell. They didn't say it to make a cute quote, so we'll quote it later. They actually, Abu Bakr goes to the Prophet ﷺ and says, Abu Bakr has become a munafiq. He didn't even think he was a Muslim. We don't realize that calling yourself a Muslim is a claim. Because we have associations like Muslim Student Association, which is good, but we put it on our shirts, we assume that we're Muslims. We are assuming something that Abu Bakr and Umar did not assume. And they were already promised Jannah. They still thought they were munafiqs. Umar radiallahu anhu went to the companion who had the list of the hypocrites. He says, show me the list. He said, I can't show it to you. The Prophet ﷺ said, I cannot show anyone. He said, after the Prophet ﷺ passed away, he said, show me the list. I want to know if Umar is a munafiq. Not only Muslims, we think we're mu'mins. Belief 100% means you're a mu'min. Iman isn't belief. In the Quran it says about the Bedouins, they say that they believe. Say they don't believe. They've accepted Islam. Iman has not yet entered their hearts. The problem is because we have this very simple approach to our faith. It's not even simple, it's simplistic. Simple is good. Simplistic is not. Our journey of life is from simplistic to complex to simple. Simplistic is like following idols. Then you learn about the deen. You learn about Allah, the 99 names. That's complex. Your head hurts in class. You learn all of that, and then you end up with Qul huwallahu ahad. Very simple. Truth always ends as simple. The reality is, Imam Ali radiallahu anhu said, the fact that we disobey Allah means that we don't truly understand who we're disobeying. It's not our arrogance, it's actually our ignorance. We don't realize how great Allah is. If we say that we believe in Allah 100%, and we were to leave the masjid, and we looked up at the sky, and we saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which we can't in this world, but if we saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, would our iman increase or not? If our iman would increase, that means we don't believe in Him 100%. There was a companion who did believe in Allah 100%. And when he said it, people around him were shocked. The other companions, he says, Wallahi, if I were to look up, he didn't say go outside, because their whole life was outside, by the way. The whole seerah happens outside. Even their inside is outside. When they're inside, you can still see the sky. It wasn't like a moonroof. There were palm fibers, and you could see the stars. So he says, if I were to look up, and I saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he says, Wallahi, if I were to look up and see Allah, my iman would not increase. Because my eyes can deceive me. My eyes can fool me. But the Messenger of Allah cannot. He told me about Allah. So the first thing is when we say, إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا, we have to stop thinking we're already there. Because if we think we already believe in 100%, then how are we on a journey to increase our iman? We think that to be, and I know why we say it, because our Islam is like a noun, not a verb. Islam is a verb. It has to do with, it's like, in English, you have the word runner versus running. Is runner a noun or a verb? Runner? A noun. If I say I'm a runner, does it mean I'm running right now? It just means it's part of my identity. It's a noun. We made Islam into a noun. In Arabic, Islam is a masdar, which is ing, running. It's not submission, it's submitting. Why is it important it's called running? Can I say I'm running, but I'm not running right now? We have a culture in our community of saying I'm Muslim, but I'm not practicing. That's saying I'm running, but I'm not running. It doesn't mean that we're all perfect. It means that we're all running. Some of us may fall down and do sins, but we are running. We may not run as fast as someone else, but we are running. We get what we're saying. Amanu wa amilu salihat. And they do righteous deeds. First of all, we have to understand that belief is active. It's not a noun. That's why the word Islamic is a little problematic, because verbs become adverbs, not adjectives. There's a whole, we're going to deal with that in 10 years. Let's save that. Remember that. Islamic needs to be challenged. It's not me, the scholars have said it. We just haven't changed the names yet. It'll take some time. Now, like Islamic schools should be called Muslim schools. So if the school's not very good, Islam doesn't look bad, Muslims look bad. Hey, we're just Muslim. This is our school. We're doing the best we can. Islamic school. Then if it's bad, you use Islam as an adjective. Now when they critique Islam, we can't say anything. We use it as an adjective. Get it? This is basic in our deen. They don't call it Christianic schools. They don't call it Judaic schools. They call them Christian schools. So if it's not very good, Christians look bad, not Christianity. We use the word Islam as an adjective in front of everything. Islamic meat. You find out that you're torturing animals still, and they just keep saying Bismillah and cutting the head off. You say this is not Islamic meat, but you call it Islamic. If you don't agree with it, you're not Muslim. We are the Islamic party in Egypt. If you don't like us, you're not Islamic. If you said Muslim party, hey, I'm a Muslim too. I don't like your Muslim party. If you don't like me, you don't like Islam, because I'm the Islamic party. The problem with making Islam into a noun and an adjective. Islam is, this deen is like running, not runner. So when someone says, this is where it's really important. Amanu, belief. This is real belief. Not just, oh, I'm Muslim, I'm part of this group, and I happen, okay, I'm Pakistani American. Am I Pakistani Americaning right now? No, it's just my identity. That's the problem with making Islam into a noun. It's just an identity. That's why when people say, are we Muslim Americans or American Muslims? You made it into an identity. America already has Islam inside of it. So we don't have to call people Christian Americans. Just by calling ourselves Muslim Americans, we're saying that America doesn't have Islam. We need to add another word. Anyways, another day, another story. Amanu wa amilu salihat. Now, wa in Arabic means to do at the same time, not to do later. Thumma means to do later. So when we say that, going back to that phrase, I'm a Muslim but I'm not practicing. This is not at all looking down at people. The people who say that are probably better than us. So when we critique something, we're not looking down at people, we're critiquing the idea. In our deen, we believe that if somebody, she's my timekeeper. If somebody was to be drinking alcohol in front of us, even as the alcohol is going into their mouth, we would tell them you're doing something wrong, but we have to believe that as the alcohol is going in their mouth, they're still better than us. So when I'm critiquing, we're critiquing the idea, not the person. So when people say that I am Muslim but I'm not practicing, they're saying that there's a faith that doesn't have to, you don't have to do anything, you can just claim it. The problem with that is in our law, and I'm not saying this applies now, inshallah Allah will be very merciful with the people of our age, but in our law, if 3 days passed and you did not pray, and you didn't have a reason not to pray, you would actually have to convert back to Islam. This was in our law. Another example, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, in his time, some people said they're not going to pay zakat. What happened? They said, we're just not going to do zakat. They left the deen. There was actually a war. Abu Bakr sent Khalid ibn Walid into war with them. They had actually left their deen and now they were opposing the government. Amanu wa amilu salihat. There is no such thing as I am Muslim but I don't practice. Islam is a verb. You can't say I'm running and I'm not running. It doesn't even make grammatical sense. Now, amilu salihat, righteous deeds. I want everyone, let's do a quick, we have only a few minutes left. I want everyone to inhale. Hold it. No, hold it. The young boy in the blue. Let's try it again. Everyone inhale. Don't worry, I'm not going to keep you too long. It's not like a group suicide. This was not a good time to make a joke. Okay, one more time. Okay. Inhaling is taking in knowledge. Exhaling is teaching other people. Inhaling is saying you believe. Exhaling is doing righteous deeds. What happens if you inhale and don't exhale? What would have happened if we waited a few more minutes? So oxygen that gives us life, if we inhale and don't exhale, it will kill us. Many of us have never exhaled in our life. We keep our deed is like this. Every Jummah khutbah. That's why we look so upset all the time. Because we're about to suffocate from good stuff. Amanu wa amilu salihat. La ilaha illallah, interestingly, is the other way around. You have to exhale all the false gods and inhale Allah. La ilaha illallah. You have to first rid your heart of all the false idols and fill it up with Allah. It's the opposite. But anyways, the point is, we have to do righteous deeds. Now, Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, and by the way, you know the other problem with saying, oh, I believe I'm not going to do righteous deeds? You know who had that mentality? Shaitan. Shaitan is a bigger believer than anyone in this room. What? Believer. I didn't say he's believer. If he doesn't believe, who is he angry at? Who told him to bow down to Adam? Who kicked him out of Jannah? He believes. His problem was, he didn't obey. Amilu salihat. So if you say, I'm a Muslim, you're in bad company. He was a believer who didn't act. Here's one quick example. This is the most beautiful, beautiful example for me of what it means to do righteous deeds. Because sometimes we think of righteous deeds as like when the camera is on, that's why I keep moving. They keep trying to... Our culture is about doing good in public. We like that. You put something on Facebook, and then you do something good, then you put it on Facebook. Then people like it, they share it. Then you share your own post. You like your own post. You like that you liked your own post. You like yourself a lot. You like your good deed. You want other people to like your good deed. Hey, like what I did. They like it. Now share what I did. Basically, it's like saying, hey, I did something really good. Go tell everyone what I did. You didn't like it? Tell me you like it. Put your thumb up, brother. Now I know you like it. Everyone put your thumb up. Oh, I got 200 likes. Now you go tell everyone else I did something good. This was not the Amal Salihat of the companions. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, when he was the Khalifa, okay? When he was the Khalifa, he would secretly go into a house of an old woman who was blind. And we know part of the story. Many of us don't know the end very well. He would go secretly into his house, and Umar radiallahu anhu was always following him around, trying to compete with him. That's the only reason he knew what was going on. He was like his shadow. Always, always, always. He goes into the house, an old woman who's blind. Of course she knows who Abu Bakr is. She doesn't know this young man is Abu Bakr. He is right now the Khalifa. He still felt like in the moment, this is the most important thing for him to do. He didn't do it, so we'll talk about it. He was actually hoping we would never find out. The only reason we know about it is because of Umar. Interesting, huh? He did this for months without anyone ever finding out. He used to go in as the Khalifa, the head of him. He would clean her bathroom. Old woman. She didn't even know who it was to say thank you. And it's not the bathroom like us, we take a Clorox wipe. No, this was a hole in the ground. He would clean it with his own hands. This is Abu Bakr. This is a standard of leadership. It's one thing for us to say, how many of our leaders that say this, how many of our scholars or imams that say this would actually ever do it? They would not. Many of them would not. Our true imams would. Imam Ghazali left his position to clean bathrooms. We can talk about Imam Ghazali but not live his life. He literally would go and clean her bathroom, then he would cook for her. This changes our whole notion of masculinity. Oh, it's not manly to cook and clean. He would cook for her himself. Then, listen to this part, he would feed her with his own hands. Sometimes we have such an imbalanced understanding of Islam that we would hear the story and say, Astaghfirullah. He's alone with a woman in her house? Khalwa. This is haram. Because we don't know the spirit of our deen. We have learned it without context. He would feed her, and then he would leave. Umar radiallahu anhu, by the way, the houses you could see through. That's why they say don't look into his homes. He saw this happening. The next day he went inside. He cleaned the bathroom. He cooked for her. He fed her with his own hands. As soon as he fed her, she starts to cry. And she says, he must have died. The young man must have died. Umar looks at her and says, what? He says, the man, the boy, he used to come to me, he must have died. He says, how do you know I'm not that man? She doesn't know who he is. She doesn't know this is Umar. She doesn't know that's Abu Bakr. And she says, you're not that man. He said, I did exactly what he did. He could never compete with Abu Bakr. And she says, you didn't do what he did. He says, what did I do different? He says, okay, so you cleaned, you cooked. When you fed me, the other man, he knew, this is how sensitive they were. He knew this woman so much. Anyways, won't get into that. She says that he knew I had a pain in my jaw. How would he know that? Listen to this. This is Abu Bakr. This is why when the Prophet, they said Abu Bakr was so great. Umar, Uthman and Ali. This is a true story. They said they were so great. Had they been in different ummahs, they would have been prophets. In the ummah of the Prophet, they're like the right-hand man. You take our best guy and put him in another ummah, he would have been a prophet himself. He would have been one of the 124,000 prophets. So they took someone that could have been a prophet in his own time, and they put him under the Prophet ﷺ as his strong man. Why? Why? The Prophet ﷺ said about Umar, had there been a prophet after me and there isn't, it would have been Umar. That's amazing. She said that he knew that I had a pain in my jaw. So when he would feed me, he would first take the food and put it in his own mouth to soften it. Then he would feed me. He would put it in his own mouth, soften it, then put it in her mouth. She says, you didn't do that. That's when Umar says, how am I going to compete with this guy? That's Amil Salihat. We would not know this story if Umar hadn't done that. How many